In an age where the open world rules all, the humble level is occasionally seen as outdated, or something resigned to the indie market. And yet, these are the things that made us fall in love with gaming. The crafted, more designed elements of titles and worlds that give developers far more control over what you'll see and when you'll see it. Because for as much as dynamic interactions, freeform AI scripts, and experimental game mechanics can give you memories for life across 100 hours in an open plan setting, I've found that the most lovable moments in gaming history kinda come from levels. Iconic color sets, weaponry that you only get access to for a limited amount of time, companions joining up, or maybe a vehicle that you can pilot for the duration of an enemy gauntlet. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the influx of wide linear design or open world environments, but as you'll see watching through these selections, a well-made level is just the best. Let me know what you think down in the comments below as to all sorts of different iconic levels across gaming history, because there are certainly plenty to choose from. I'm Scott from WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 most iconic levels in video game history. Number 10, the Silent Cartographer, Halo Combat Evolved. The moment when the first Halo truly clicked. The Silent Cartographer was mind-blowing back in 2001. Not just for the opening charge along the beachfront, wiping out scores of grunts and elite Covenant, but for the sheer visual spectacle of this massive forerunner structure built into the side of an island as you advanced one enemy at a time. Since launch, this has become the most replayable part of the first game. Its layout encouraging tactical cover options, replete with AI soldiers to lend a hand, and a couple of warthogs to tear around in. When it comes to progression, you're essentially checking into the same number of terminals on your way to tracking down the Silent Cartographer itself, but the paths that you take from A to B to C are deftly controlled by Bungie on the coding side, providing you don't purposefully run the other way anyway. You'll reclaim the beach from an overridden landing zone, dive into the first internal structure to wipe out the Covenant inside. You'll find a helmet recording of a surprise flood attack wiping out some UNSC soldiers, only to take on a couple of hulking hunters on the way to the next checkpoint. Halo is packed full of phenomenal moments, but this is one of the very best, even against everything that followed. Number 9, D-Day Landing, Medal of Honor Allied Assault / Frontline. A cinematic sequence in a video game is as common as an EA business move annoying millions, but Medal of Honor's D-Day landing sequences from both Allied Assault and Frontline were arguably the first time we ever truly felt like we were playing a movie. Where on PC, Allied Assault upped the body count but sacrificed a more cinematic sensibility, on consoles, developers' 2015 games framed the whole thing like a controllable version of Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan. Starting with a quote from poet Frank Bernard Camp about the horrors of war, then segueing into a handful of sounds as you took control of one James Patterson, the atmosphere and tension was unlike anything else. Solid, bass-booming sound design made every mortar shell land like thunder, and after a scripted sequence sees half your platoon killed and you thrown underwater, that's it. Time to take back France. Playing today highlights just how much the PS2's tech couldn't handle anywhere near the same amount of soldiers as Allied Assault's version of the mission on PC, but at the time, to a populace playing such a crafted, interactive experience for the first time, Frontline's first mission was industry-defining. Number 8, HANGAR E1M1, Doom 1993. Almost 30 years later, 1993's Doom is still such a phenomenal game to pick up. The fluid sense of locomotion, expert enemy placement, great array of weaponry, and that shotgun kick, it's a classic, majorly influential release for a whole bunch of reasons. And while you can point to things like descending into hell itself or fighting your first pair of cyber demons as monumental, just getting to grips with 3D combat at this speed, with power-ups aplenty and bodies falling left and right, it felt incredible. Not to mention, Doom's soundtrack screamed heavy metal. This level's main descending riff sounding identical to Metallica's No Remorse, a titanic thrash track in MIDI form, only encouraging you to play faster. Also, don't remember that we now have a WhatCulture music channel, and please go get subscribed. We also have one of the most satisfying and legendary weapons in gaming history dropping across this level, the Doom Shotgun. Yes, 2016's version has some mighty 4K kick, and subsequent sequels refined things graphically and through momentum of movement, but pulling the trigger on the original Doom shotgun was the bloodiest icing on the tastiest cake of your life. That barely makes sense, but you know what I mean. Number 7, Spencer Mansion, Resident Evil 1. You can totally argue it out down in the comments as to whether the Spencer Mansion counts as a level versus an environment, but as an iconic location, it embodies Resident Evil. Testament to how well this place was designed, even with a couple of remasters addressing puzzle tweaks and item placement, the Spencer Mansion itself has remained largely intact. That first zombie encounter with blood dripping from its teeth, the expertly placed camera angles that never truly let you feel comfortable no matter how many times you've gone back and forth, one of the finest jump scares in gaming history as you revisit a formerly safe corridor, only for two rabid zombie dogs to crash through a window in the foreground, leading to a mad scramble to stay alive. Its graphics might be outdated and that voice acting is something else.
Stop it! Don't open that door!
But the original Resident Evil still has atmosphere in spades. Horror in video games just doesn't get more immediately isolating and foreboding than trying to explore a seemingly dilapidated mansion only for literally everything to go wrong. Number 6. Japan. Street Fighter 2. If someone randomly says the word Street Fighter 2, your brain will instantly go to this level. Yes, there's E Honda's Edo Hot Baths and the Peace Road shopping district from China, but there's something about the Suzaku Temple that looks effortlessly cool. Its sun setting as two warriors of your choice fight for their lives. Fascinatingly, the Suzaku Temple is actually a real place, just like the shopping district, which is really called Chunyong Street. But it's Street Fighter 2's wide-reaching appeal that got this landscape in front of a few million eyeballs. Unlike the original game, which to this day is playable but it's more ambitious than refined, its behemoth of a sequel hit the ground sprinting, showcasing gorgeous graphics and responsive controls that, quite honestly, haven't aged a day. Street Fighter 2 is a true gaming classic, an essential play no matter your age, and it's made even better with such awesome looking stages like this. Number 5. Rainbow Road. Super Mario Kart. Not all things become iconic in a positive sense, and with the SNES's increased processing power, Nintendo appeared to bend reality to their whim by showcasing 3D to a console gaming industry who didn't know it could be done. Wolfenstein 3D had just dropped on PC a few months prior, and us console fanatics were more than happy just exploring A Link to the Past or Super Mario World. Then we saw Super Mario Kart, and nothing would ever be the same again. The delights of playing your siblings, friends, or anyone within arm's reach was a rush unlike anything else. Until you hit Rainbow Road, arguably the most divisive and then mastered fictional course in driving game history. Now, the Rainbow Road that haunted your play sessions will be specific to which version of Mario Kart you played first, as Nintendo went from the threadbare Mobius strip looking original through to the boost pad and mid-air jumps version of Mario Kart 8. No matter which one you pick though, the idea of a course set in space or extremely high in the sky, accompanied by rainbow-colored track components and a big old difficulty spike, is about as iconic as kart racing gets. Number 4. Hyrule Field. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. It might just look like a mound of grass with a couple of trees and a castle in the corner, but this, to either a young mind or an industry yet to experience any open-world environment in 3D, felt like an entire world on the other side of the screen. Rockstar would revitalize and revamp the idea of an open world full of missions in GTA 3, but Ocarina of Time should be credited as the wonder-inducing jaw-dropper that it initially was. Coming out the Kokiri Forest as young Link, all bright-eyed and ready to journey towards Hyrule Castle at the whims of the Great Deku Tree, this was archetypal fantasy at its most pure. The intrepid adventurer, a hometown of friends worth protecting, a tiny weapon, and a threadbare mission at hand. That first batch of skeletons was damn near terrifying, but with every step, Link came into his own. Especially when you strut back through this same expanse as an adult, riding Epona while downing enemies left and right with perfect bow and arrow shots. Good sweet lord, this game's pretty good. Number 3. Insanity Beach. Crash Bandicoot. It was a tough call putting this up against something like Crash 3's bike races, but Insanity Beach not only looked spectacular for the time, Naughty Dog's artists figuring out a technique that allowed them to maximize detail in the foreground whilst the background loaded in later, but because playing a tropical setting infused with Aztec and Mayan elements felt unique and identifiable. Like with many of these older examples, it can't be overstated just how much your brain did the heavy lifting, putting you in the shoes of the character at hand. There was no questioning of frame rates, jagged polygonal edges, or detail in general. We were Crash Bandicoot, and we were playing the level that we'd seen in magazines, adverts, and on TV, but in real time, with Crash doling out the as he wrote himself into the history books. Number 2. World 1-1. Super Mario Bros. The music, the enemy layout, those first few question mark boxes, and the satisfaction of unlocking coins and mushrooms when they were hit. There's something about the combination of Nintendo's responsive control scheme with a chirpy, uplifting score from Koji Kondo that brought a smile not only to those who played back in 1985, but that still works with immortal positivity today. Analyzing the rest of the level, that first Goomba likely costing your first life is the best way to introduce you to the perils of charging ahead. Question mark boxes teach you about jumping, and as you were experimenting with the feel of Mario himself, you probably smashed open a brick or two, further encouraging you to play with the tools at hand. It is so subtly brilliant, and as you start to bring these mechanics together, you'll spy a finishing flag accompanied by a staircase, just begging for the level to be finished in style. It is a tough call putting this at number 2, but I think there's something else for the top spot. And at number 1, Green Hill Zone, Sonic the Hedgehog. Yes, I totally understand this is a very tough call to make. But for as much as Sonic was designed from the ground up to usurp Mario as any child's mascot of choice, his first level, the immaculate Green Hill Zone, is more recognizable and instantly heartwarming than Mario's 1-1. I know, fight me and all that stuff. As for the level, where to even start? The music, the rollout of levels and platforms, the fact that you only get a few seconds to understand Sonic's physics before you're freeing secret power-up crates from trees and bouncing off the heads of robot crabs. Wait for any longer than you can say, "Aren't those Michael Jackson shoes?" and Sonic will look straight down the lens, wondering why you aren't continuing to play as fast and as much as humanly possible. It was this sensibility that gamers of all ages latched onto and never let go. This notion of immediacy and speed, of a level that doled out memorable elements as fast as you could ask for them. Of an opening section so expertly crafted there's an argument to be made that it's the best level in Sonic history, and nothing would ever reach this high again. As for that argument, I'm going to hand this over to you down in the comments below. Because for now, this has been my rundown of the 10 most iconic levels in video game history. I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com. Please check out the WhatCulture Gaming Podcast, and I'll catch you soon.